Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again. So in this video, I want to talk about how to purify your physical body. And we talked about why we would want to purify our physical body and why this is important in my previous video on what is holistic health and what do lifestyle, diet, and nutrition, exercise, and so forth have to do with your mindset, your personal development, and success. So if you haven't checked that video out yet, I'd recommend you to do so. Getting back down to basics. And yeah, so as we talked about previously, in order to become our highest selves, be in our state of flow, our highest evolvement, we want to purify or detoxify ourselves on a holistic level as much as possible, as much as we're able to. That means physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, because they're all interconnected and work synergistically. And imagine feeling 100% or 150% in all of those areas, how much you could access your absolutely limitless potential in anything you endeavor. So let's start with the physical body today. And how can we purify our physical body? What does it even mean? Again, like we touched on, we are way more than just a physical human body. We are more than just a physical existence. We in fact are a spiritual being and a physical planet manifested, and we're made of energy. So many of you may have heard already, there is this universal energy going on, universal light source. We're all connected to source. We're all connected with each other through energy, through ether. And I'm coming from the Eastern modalities, being trained in Ayurveda and yoga and Ayurvedic counselor. I have studied Qigong, alchemy, hermetics, shamanic modalities, and so forth. And in those realms, we talk about chi, ki, or prana, or even Reiki means universal life force energy. Prana, ki, chi, and so forth all mean life force as well. And so this life force, like I said, is this universal life force energy, this energy that's flowing through each and every one of us, every living being on this planet. And it is everywhere. It's connecting us all with each other, with source. So I'd like to say that life force is life, because without life force, there is no life, if that makes sense. We are a physical body, but we're alive because of life force, which is this indication of that we are so much more than just a physical body. So, according to Eastern traditions like Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, we have those energy channels going through our body, which are the nadis or the meridians, like in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. These, they relate directly to our chakra system. The chakras are basically the main junction energetic points. And so this life force energy is flowing through our whole body into every part. And when we talk about purifying our physical body, I like to speak of shaking things up, circulating our energy, and decompressing, creating space from within. So usually, no matter what, every physical ailment has a spiritual root cause. That means it has a mental, emotional root cause. So that means if we already feel a symptom, even if it's just some tension or tightness somewhere in some part of our body, this isn't the start of it, but that's already the manifestation of a root cause that has happened way earlier than that in our mental, emotional, our spiritual realms. So by the time we feel it in our body, it has already manifested, right? So it's not in the early stages. However, on the flip side, whenever there is a blockage in our energy flow, in this flow of prana, which if you look at it from a Western point of view, oxygen, right, is what's making things alive. If we can't breathe, we're not alive as such. So without an appropriate oxygen supply, our system is getting partially or fully eventually depleted. So whether you want to talk oxygen or prana or chi, for this matter, it's all the same, different terminology. And so whenever we have a lack of oxygen somewhere in our body, or a blockage in our nadis or meridians, so a lack of prana or this life force, this then causes symptoms and disease. And it all starts with compression and tension. You know, when I teach kids yoga, I'm all about breathing. If you can't breathe in a position or a shape you go into, don't go there, because you're actually tightening and compressing your body instead of releasing, opening, lengthening, and growing. So it's really all about the breath. Breath is 50% of everything you're doing, if not more. And what I say to the kids in kids yoga is to get them breathe deeply when they're stretching. That, you know, when you're struggling for air, when you can't breathe, you're doing this, like, and everything here is getting really tight in your chest and your neck. It's all constricting, right? So while you breathe nice and deeply, everything is opening and it's inflating and deflating, okay? So it allows the oxygen to flow and to nourish every cell of every part of our body. And through this nourishment, we're creating space, and that enables our body or those different cells to soften and melt, and therefore lengthen. They are malleable. Is that the right word? Like, you can, you know, they are not elastic, but expandable. And so whenever there is a constriction in our energy flow, that creates tension in our body, and this tension eventually manifests into symptoms and disease. So therefore, when we're talking about purifying our physical body, it all starts with creating space and decompression and circulating our energy from within. When we have a free flow of energy, that's when we're connected through all our three centers, our gut, our heart, our mind, the universal energy, and with each other, with the universal flow, with nature's laws and nature's rhythm. We can sync up with nature's rhythm when we have a free flow of energy going, and vice versa. So, how then do we unblock or decompress or circulate our energy again? And the answer is clear, it's movement. Now, when talking movement, it's not just going for a run around the block or going to the gym. Movement is so much more than that. Movement starts from the inside out. It starts way before going for a run and moving your physical body consciously. Movement starts with this energy circulating within you, right? Movement starts with your breathing, with the air going in and out, and then this air going to nourish all those cells, and this oxygen flow nourishing your brain, that then signalizes your nervous system the appropriate things to release the appropriate functions and so forth. So that's movement, yes? And then our thoughts are movement. It starts with a thought and that then turns into an action and so forth. It's movement. So purifying our physical body entails all those aspects. So let's dive into a few different ways of purifying your physical body. Firstly, breathing. Not just, actually becoming aware of your breath. Deep diaphragmatic breathing, conscious breathing. Allowing your breath to all the way go down into your lower belly, expanding through the lower belly. I got a puppy behind me and she's chewing the blanket. Allowing every inhale to go right down into your lower belly, expanding through this area, then every exhale deflating through this area. Making sure that you start to breathe with your diaphragm, which is your actual breathing muscle, as opposed to shallow breathing through your chest with your respiratory organs, which then causes a restriction through this area, as well as a restriction here in your diaphragm because it's not being used. So breathing is an incredible tool to, consciously sit down, like what we just said. There's a few different breathing techniques you can find on my YouTube channel to check out if you want any guidance for breath work. Otherwise, there's plenty and plenty of resources on breath work and how to out there. doing a yoga nidra meeting, breathing meditation. But even just starting by consciously being aware throughout your daily life, getting back into belly or diaphragmatic breathing as often as you can. That's the number one. Breathing starts movement from the inside out, increases the circulation, increases the flow of energy, the free circulation and flow of energy that's loosening up all the tissues and therefore purifying our physical body by releasing any excess stagnation and blockages. Cool. Number two is physical exercise, obviously. So we're bringing this movement to a more gross, more external movement, moving our bodies. And that doesn't mean to do a full-on sweat session every morning for an hour in the gym, doing a high-intensity trainings, doing hot yoga, whatever. Gosh, no. Do what feels right for you. Movement is just walking in the park around your house. Movement is going for a beach walk on the sand. Movement is surfing. Movement is, anything, dancing to the fridge. That's where movement starts, taking steps instead of the elevator when you're going to work and so forth. So movement is as simple as that. Instead of, if you can't sketch a time for movement, do a yoga class or something like that, whatever you resonate with. Fantastic. If you have an active hobby, fantastic. But again, it starts with the awareness of bringing more movement into your life. So, walking to work, riding your bike to work, taking your dog for longer walks, going for walks without having a dog, things like that, just making the better choices when it comes to movement. Cool. Number three is nature time. Nature really is our mother. It's our biggest teacher, our guide, and it helps us to rejuvenate and come back to our center. So the more time you can spend outside in fresh air in nature, ideally getting your bare feet onto the ground, soaking up all this earth energy, and recharging, the better. So that helps you to, again, circulate your energy. Also mentioning here, talking about circulating energy, I think you hear the dog shuffling in the background. I can see it there too. And talking about circulating energy, stagnation is not only, like I mentioned, in your physical body. For example, it's also in your mind. When you're going through conflict, through a breakup, through negative emotions, through anything that inflicts heaviness and tension onto you, even mentally and emotionally, it's stagnation, which then can be a cause for disease or symptoms. So, yeah, spending time in nature can really help you alleviate any tension, stagnation in your mental emotional field, and alleviating stress this way. Talking of which, stress is number root cause for any chronic disease out there. So it's a massive trigger to create symptoms and disease. Manage your stress right away is another way of purifying your physical body, which you can do through all those tools we're going through right now. So then number 4 is food and diet. So how does that relate to movement? Obviously, what you eat determines the quality of your energy circulation and how free your energy is circulating. So your diet makes a massive difference in how you feel and how you think and how you perform and how pure you are. When talking about purification, again, what you ideally want to do is eliminate processed foods, eat organic foods where you can, natural produce, nice and wholesome, local foods instead of buying from overseas or imports or whatever, which has to do with syncing your body back up to nature's rhythm, which we talked about, and then we're more in our flow and vice versa. Because nature has arranged that in our local area, certain foods are available at a certain time. It's all part of a bigger picture, and they are things I work on in my one-on-one coaching with people and go into the depth of that and how we can apply that to you as an individual. But yes, eating fresh, local, organic, unprocessed foods, real foods. So as a basic guideline, look at the ingredients. If there's anything on there you can't pronounce, don't eat it, don't buy it other than quinoa. And also, ideally, don't buy anything that's in plastic and can last for another 2 years. Don't buy packaged stuff as a guideline, you know, there's always some exceptions. But in general, eliminate any sugar and stimulation. So processed sugars anyways, but also there's been this raw treat trend going on, and out of the sudden people started just living off raw treats and wondering why they're actually gaining 10 pounds. Well, sugar is still sugar, right? Yes, there's better choices than others, but back in the day, 80% of our foods used to be natural proteins and so forth, and now 80% of our foods are sugars and processed sugars, which is a massive change in human evolution. What else? Yeah, no, eliminate stimulants, things like coffee, alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, and so forth. They all impurify the body because they dull the senses, they dull our response, they drain or fatigue our adrenals, so that then boycotts or brings up our stress response and increases cortisol and adrenaline and so forth in our body. So that then depletes or impacts negatively the normal body functions that should be going on. So instead of focusing on what we should be focusing on, we have to focus on stress response. So you can see how that impurifies you. Number 5, to purify a physical body is meditation and mindfulness. Also because, like we said, everything is interconnected. So when you have mental and emotional stress going on, that can easily then lead to the wrong choices, like eating the wrong foods, spending 3 days couch potatoing instead of going out for a nature walk. And so that will then impact the health of your physical body as well. So meditation and mindfulness can be an incredible tool to just alleviate any mental strain, tension, anxiety, busyness in your head and bring you back to center, recreate this inner anchoring for you to make the right choices for yourself and keep you pure. So these are 5 pretty simple yet profound principles or techniques on how to purify your physical body and in turn also purify your mental and emotional body, because like what we already talked about, holistic health is the synergy of all aspects of ourselves, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So if we work on one, it will inevitably affect another and vice versa, which is the beauty of it. So if you improve in one area, you're also going to improve in the other. Well, if you're on a bit of a downfall in one area and you're not conscious and aware of it, it's like this domino effect, it'll also affect the other area as well. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in again, guys. If you do have any questions, feel free, feedback, to put it into the comments, get in touch. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye. Ciao for now.